Hello everyone, this is Here's Trivia, and today we're continuing the 12 Tiger Generals of Wu Let's Talk Lore series with episode 3, featuring Han Zong. Born in the northern county of Lingzhi in the Liaoxi Commandery, Han Zong was a true northern frontiersman, as he was known to be a skilled archer and rider. While his birth year was never recorded, he was probably around Sun Quan's age, or born around 155, as he too would answer the imperial conscription during the Yellow Turban Rebellion in 184. Similar to Cheng Pu, who also hailed from a northern commandery, he ended up serving in Sun Quan's unit during the Yellow Turban Rebellion, and because of his lack of rank, there are no detailed records of his service under Sun Quan. The only record we do have is that by the time that Sun Quan died, Han Zong had the rank of 别部司马, or minor officer position, which by comparison is also the same rank that Huang Gai had around the same time. However, by the time Sun Ce started his southern campaign, Han Zong's standing within Sun Ce's army would rise greatly, as Sun Ce would first name him the captain of the 1st 2 Scale Battalion, or Xiandeng Xiao Wei, and then later entrust him with a personal retinue of 2,000 troops and 50 horses. This was the highest troop count for personal retinues during the early stages of Sun Ce's conquest in the south, with only the likes of Zhou Yu, Cheng Pu, and Zhu Zhi sharing this high honor. After Sun Ce had conquered the south in 199, Han Zong was recorded to have taken part in both the sneak attack on Liu Xun at Rujiang and the subsequent attack on Huang Zu at Shayi. Following Sun Ce's assassination, Han Zong was mainly assigned to the Puyang Commandery to combat the local Shan threat in the area, where he would serve for the majority of Sun Quan's early reign. It was during this time that Han Zong was promoted as a lieutenant, or Zhonglangjiang, but because of his assignment in Puyang, Han Zong did not participate in any of the 3 attacks on Huangzu from 203 to 208. By the Battle of Chibi, Han Zong and his retinue was one of the first to initiate the pursuit of Cao Cao's retreating army once the fire attack got underway, which is also why his unit would end up being the one to rescue the injured Huang Gai from the river. After Cao Cao's retreat, Han Zong stayed on the western front with Zhou Yu and Lu Meng, as they would spend the next year sieging and defeating Cao Ren in the Nan Commandery. Following this campaign, the military focus of Wu shifted east, as Zhou Yu's untimely death and the decision to lease the Nan Commandery to Liu Bei would see Han Zong reassigned to the city of Van in the Lujiang Commandery. At this time in 209, the northern part of the Yang province was still being heavily contested between Cao Cao's forces, remnants of Yuan Shu's forces, and Sun Quan's forces. With Sun Quan's failed attempt at taking Hefei just a year prior, Cao Cao actually had the initiative on this front, despite his recent setback at Chibi, as generals Zhang Liao, Yu Jin, and Zan Ba were sent to hunt down Chen Lan and Mei Cheng, who were both former officers of Yuan Shu that had turned to become local bandits following Yuan Shu's death. Despite being termed as bandits, Chen Lan, who is also known as Chen Jian in some records, was not an easy force to defeat, as he had accumulated tens of thousands of troops who had previously served Yuan Shu and had the advantage of knowing the local terrain, as he was from the Lujiang Commandery. To take Chen Lan down, Cao Cao sent his best in Zhang Liao, along with Lieutenant General Zhang He. Mei Cheng, on the other hand, had only around 3,000 troops, but not to take him lightly, Cao Cao sent Yu Jin to hunt him down, while General Zan Ba was sent to block Sun Quan's garrison at the city of Van from interfering with this campaign, as the last thing Cao Cao wanted was for these former troops of Yuan Shu to flee south and join Sun Quan. However, despite Cao Cao's expert planning, this campaign was anything but smooth sailing. First, Mei Cheng offered a fake surrender to Yu Jin to create an opening for himself and his 3,000 troops as they would escape from Yu Jin's encirclement. Then Mei Cheng successfully regrouped with Chen Lan's troops as their combined forces took a defensive position atop of Mount Tianzhu. Finally, upon learning of Cao Cao's movements in the area, Sun Quan ordered the Van garrison, under the commands of Han Dang, to march to the aid of Chen Lan. But when Han Dang tried to march north, he met fierce resistance at Fenglong Mountain, as Zan Ba had already taken position in anticipation of Han Dang's movement. And when Han Dang tried to bypass the mountain by circling around the valley at Shijia, Zan Ba once again moved his troops in time to halt Han Dang's advancement. In the meantime, despite the narrow mountain roads that made attacking difficult, Zhang Liao led the final assault on Mount Tianzhu that annihilated Chen Lan and Mei Cheng, as both would be killed. And with their death, there was no longer a reason for Han Dang to continue to fight Zan Ba, as he would pull his forces back to Van. Now, for the next 13 years, Han Dang actually disappeared from the history books, as there are no records of his deployment or participation in any of the major Wu campaigns, whether it was the attacks on Hefei, the defense at Ruxukou, or the campaign to retake the Jin province from Guanyu. But we do know that he was still in active service, as he would resurface once again in 222 during the Battle of Yiling, where he, alongside General Zhu Ran, helped Lu Xun defeat the Shu Han forces around the Nan Commandery. After the victory at Yiling, Han Dang was finally promoted from lieutenant to general, with the title of Wei Lie, meaning mighty and fierce. Additionally, Han Dang received a minor marquis title of Du Ting Hou. Now, as many of you might have noticed from our first 3 episodes covering Cheng Pu, Huang Gai, and Han Dang, most of these veteran generals who started their service since the days of Sun Jian were not highly promoted during Sun Quan's reign. There are many factors at play here, but mainly the reason for this was because most of the general promotions went to members of the established southern gentry clans, as Sun Quan needed their support to entrench himself as the ruler of the south. But for the likes of Han Dang, if you serve long enough, in this case over 4 decades of military service to the Sun clan, eventually you will earn that general position. Following his promotion, Han Dang continued to defend the Nan Commandery, as not long after the conclusion of the Yiling campaign, relationship between Cao Pi and Sun Quan turned hostile, as Wei would invade the south across multiple fronts. During this campaign, Han Dang would successfully defend the Nan Commandery against General Cao Zhen's attacks, earning himself promotions to the Marquis title of Shicheng, or Shicheng Hou, and a new general title called Zhao Wu Jiangjun, meaning the general who promotes the illustrious might. Symbolically, he was also named as the administrator of Guanjun, which was a weird assignment because, first off, Guanjun was the name of a county and not a commandery, so there's usually no administrators. And more importantly, it was a county in the Nanyang Commandery, in the northern part of the Jin province, outside of Wu's control. So this was more or less a symbolic promotion, and Han Dang was also finally named as the Director of Officers, or Dudu. In 226, now definitely in his 60s, Han Dang was temporarily given command of 10,000 troops from Sun Quan's own special unit, or the Jiefan Battalion, to crush an unexpected Shanyue uprising near the capital city in the Danyang Commandery. But not long after Han Dang quelled the rebellion, he would pass away due to illness. Han Dang's only son, Han Zong, would inherit his late father's nobility titles as well as his personal retinue, as Han Zong had been serving in the army under his father prior to Han Dang's death. In July of 226, when Sun Quan launched the attack on Jiangxia in response to the news of Cao Pi's death, Han Zong was sent to garrison his forces as reserves around Wuchang. But during this time, Han Zong broke multiple military codes of conduct as he allowed some of his troops to pillage local Wu civilians, with him partaking in some of the raping and killing as well. Even though at the time, Sun Quan decided to overlook this incident because he simply didn't have the heart to punish Han Dang's only son so soon after Han Dang's death. But despite this, Han Zong knew that the punishment would just be a matter of time. So in an attempt to avoid Sun Quan's eventual wrath, He started to send different battalions of his personal retinues on looting runs, where he would allow them to loot and keep the spoils for themselves. Very soon, pretty much all his personal retinue, the legacy from his late father, had partake in the killing and looting of civilians. With everyone metaphorically now on the same boat, Han Zong then proceeded to lie to his top lieutenants, as he would tell them that Sun Quan had just sent words that all officers with the rank higher than captain would be questioned for the recent looting incidents, and that Han Zong was now even afraid that he himself would not escape punishment. With everyone guilty of the same crime, it didn't take long for these lieutenants to suggest treason as a response to the fake order made up by Han Zong. In their minds, fleeing to join Wei, especially after Sun Quan's recent failed campaign in Jiangxia, might mean a better future for all of them. So using his father's burial as an excuse, Han Zong was able to get his entire extended family to leave Sun Quan's control in Jianye, as the entire Han clan gathered in Wuchang. And to make sure none of his top lieutenants would betray him, Han Zong gifted many of his aunts, nieces, and even some of his own concubines over to his lieutenants as playthings and concubines. Then Han Zong and these lieutenants made an oath together before fleeing for Wei in December of 227. Altogether, Han Zong brought a little less than 10,000 troops with him. But given the fact that he was the son of the famed Wu general Han Dang, the Wei side valued his surrender quite a bit, as Da Sima Cao Xiu would personally welcome Han Zong into Wei and promote Han Zong to the position of general and give him a marquis title of Guangyang Hou, which is a commandery level marquis title of the land near Han clan's home commandery in Liaoxi. Furthermore, for the next 25 years, Han Zong remained on the borders serving the Wei army, as he would frequently conduct raids against vulnerable positions inside Wu, where his past experience gave him the upper hand in these minor raids. Needless to say, Sun Quan absolutely hated Han Zong for this betrayal, and in 252, Han Zong finally met his proper punishment when he took part in the disastrous Wei attack on the Dongxing Dam. When the Wei army collapsed in December of 253, Han Zong was serving in the vanguard and could not retreat in time, as troops under Zhuge Ke, who was the new regent of Wu following Sun Quan's death, slayed Han Zong on the field of battle. After the dust settled, Han Zong's head would be severed from his body on Zhuge Ke's command, as it would be sent to Sun Quan's grave as an offering. And with that, our episode on Han Dang and his son Han Zong comes to a close. Next time when we return, we'll move on to cover the life and career of our fourth Tiger General of Wu in Jiang Qin. Hopefully you all have enjoyed this episode enough to consider subscribing to the channel for more content on Three Kingdoms history, or simply support the channel by leaving a comment below or just by hitting the like button. And as always, I'll see you all next time. Bye!